Good afternoon, friends. Lisa Laker here. I'm working on a floral print today with the very popular 1 Corinthians 13 verse behind it. So it's kind of a romantic wedding art type of piece that I've been kind of coming up with ideas for. So I had the verse printed at the Tribune here in town, the local newspaper. And what I've done is I've drawn three large flowers on it. And then I've erased as much as I could so that the pencil lines don't come through. But they're just kind of big heart-shaped petals. And the colors that we're using today, and you can use any colors that you want, are these three. The Grumbacher, I have no idea how to say that, Phthalo Crimson, and then Cadmium Red, and Transparent Orange with Winsor Newton. So those are the three colors that I'm going to use, and then we're going to do a black in the center here. So, and that's just any black that you have. I think I use Ivory Black from Winsor Newton. So I'm going to start by mixing the color, and I've got the colors already on my palette. I need to clean that out just a little bit better. Okay, so start with a little puddle of water. I'm going to dig into the red. This is also a number 12 Princeton brush, which is kind of my go-to brush on the large paintings, and this is the only brush I'm going to use on this as well. And then I'm going to do about equal amount of orange in here. And then just to brighten it up, I'm adding a little bit more water. Just to brighten it up, I'm going to add a little bit of hot pink. I got a little scrap paper here. That's about the color I'd like. I think I'm going to add just a little bit more of the hot pink into it. Yeah, make it just a little bit redder, a little bit brighter. Okay, I'm also using a heavier paper than what I just tested the paint onto. It's, oh, I'm drawing a blank. Okay, it's Arches 140-pound cold press, so it's got some texture in it, and it's heavier, so the paint is actually going to soak into it, whereas the one that I just tested it on, you can see how it kind of just, I can move it, and if I shake it enough, it'll start to run. But you can see how the paint just kind of sits on top of it. This paper, it will soak in. So if you're having a hard time with your colors being really rich, and when you go over them, the color starts to pull off the paper, it's the actual paper. It's not the, it's not you. It's not the paint. Okay, so what I'm going to start doing is I'm going to get the leaves wet, and I want to keep the center area pretty white. So I'm really just going to, and I don't necessarily want to stay in the lines, but I'm going to wet the top of the leaf. If you're used to watercoloring, you know that the color pretty much stays where the water is. A good example is what I just showed you with the paint that was on that paper, those test spots that wouldn't come off that wet area. You don't want it soaked, but you want enough water that the paint will move and go where it wants. And we're going to do a couple different coats, so neither coat of paint needs to be real thick. Okay. If you have any big puddles, just take a towel and push down and pull up just to get the puddle. You just want it damp, you don't want it soaked. And then I'm going to dip into the color and just drop it in. And then just to give it a little bit more variation, I'm also going to dip it into the orange. And I'm going to drop in a couple different areas of orange. Rinse my brush, blot it twice. And when I say blot, I mean just put it down on the towel. Don't squeeze it or press the bristles and make them, don't don't ruin the bristles doing it. I watch people do this a lot, and it starts to ruin the bristles. So really, when you blot, you just need to push down. And we're just going to drag that down because the deep color is at the top, and then we just want to drag what's there down toward the bottom of the petal. Okay, now I'm going to rinse my brush, and now I'm going to squeeze the water out, and I want to just drag, just so it's not a real hard line here, so that it looks like the petals fading down. So much like so. Now, if you get watercolor over the pencil lines, those pencil lines do not erase. So if you want the pencil lines completely gone, don't hit them. And then I'm going to move on to the second flower up here. Same thing, I'm going to get the top wet. Drop in my color. Rinse. A little bit of orange. Rinse again. And then move that color around. I think I need just a little bit more. And like I said, I'm doing a couple different coats here just to mix the color. So if you don't think it's deep enough, then just wait. And now squeeze and just drag some of that water just to get that, or the paint down, just to get that hard line. Pushing that color back up because I got it a little bit too close to the bottom. Okay, and then the third flower. Okay, now before I go into the next layer, I'm going to take my eraser and try to get a little bit more of those pencil marks off, the ones that I haven't painted over. And you can see everywhere that I've painted over, like right in here, there's still a little bit of it left, but that's okay. Sometimes they become part of the painting as well. Okay, so now I want to get the color just a little bit deeper, so I'm going to go in with the second layer and basically do the same thing. I'm going to mix just a little bit more color, a little bit more hot pink, and it doesn't even have to be exactly the same color because if you have a couple variations of this kind of corally red color, it'll give it a little bit more dimension and kind of the it'll give a look of shadows. And I'm going to water it down just a little bit more, and then instead of wetting the paper first, I'm just going to go right in over top of it. And you have to work quick, so if you're a slow painter, then just do one petal at a time. Otherwise, you're going to get that hard line when it dries. You can see how fast I'm moving. If you're fairly new at this, or you're a perfectionist and you want to stay in the lines and you want it to be perfect, then just stick with one petal at a time. Otherwise, you'll get this line right here will dry and you'll see it. Now it's basically just water that I'm pushing in just to move that color down again. And move this dry there. And then on to the next. Now when I went over with the second layer here, it was pretty dry. The next color that we're going to add in, I'm not going to let everything completely dry. That way the color moves through, that last layer of color will move through the wet color. The trick with watercolor is making sure that it stays wet so that you can still work with it. Once it's dry, it's done. Okay, and I'm just going to blot right in the middle there again just to make sure there's no puddle. And now I'm going to go in with orange again. I'm just going to mix a little orange into this color that I already have so that it's not pure orange, and just add different areas. Very, very random. The uniqueness of a flower is that none of them are the same. No two petals are the same. So for me, the more random, the better. And now with my clean brush, I'm going to blot it once. Smooth a little bit of that out. Oh, that was too much water. And now I'm going to add just a little bit of paint the same way. And you can see in my palette from mixing the paint, because I let my paints harden, and that's why I go in so rough with my brush. But there's a little bit of a puddle there, and that's actually what I'm using. Okay, and now with the center of it, we're just going to get the black. And I've got plenty of water on my brush. And make a circle. And then just kind of stipple. Stipple just means to dot it in. So circle, and then stipple. And while that's drying, I like to give it a little bit more of an abstract look with the background. So I'm just going to run a very clean brush over the flower petals just to pull some of that out, some of the color. So again, it's just clean water, and you're pulling the paint from the petals. That way it's not real dark, or here it's just kind of a faded background. And then if you wanted to splatter at this point, you could do it now. So you could splatter it with the same colors that you've been using. You could splatter it with black. We could do white. I am going to go over all of my letters here with a black pen. I think that's dry enough that I can add just one more dot right in the center. just drop in a little bit more color there. Okay, and then to splatter, you just want a real watery mix. Brush nice and wet. And then just hit your brush on the tip of your finger. And if you get too many splatters on there, all you have to do is rinse your brush and just spread some of them out. Okay, once this dries, I'm going to go in and I'm just going to go over the lettering with my black pen. It's these type. It's a Master's Touch Hobby Lobby, and it's got a kind of a tip like a marker does. And these packs do have more in it. Now, if your paper's wet, this will bleed into the wet areas as well. So you have to make sure, use a blow dryer, or do what you have to. So that's it. If you enjoyed this, give it a thumbs up and join me for my next video. Thanks for watching.